is back again. Yes, you saw me before. Well, I'm Bill Boggs. I'm the executive producer of the show, and Mort, for reasons of his own, couldn't be here and asked me to step in. So this is what I want to tell you. Hey, gang, remember the words to that great song, As Time Goes By? The words, woman needs man and man must have his mate that no one can deny. Well, these days, plenty of women are denying it by setting themselves up as conniving hunters using every wily trick in their thumb-worn books to trap and marry a man. And the ones that aren't doing that are going off and having babies by themselves. It is time that the men of America wake up and see that the women who want to marry them may not love them at all. In fact, statistics show that more and more of our little feminine friends only see marriage as another business deal. Well, baby, if you are out there right now setting the traps, old Uncle Bill is going to spring him tonight. Marriage plots and prenuptials. Let's go. We love you. We hope you're watching. Our guest tonight, we have at home base Margaret Kent. Margaret Kent is a marriage specialist from Florida. She has a couple books here. How to Marry the Man of Your Choice. Who needs this book? I could break somebody's neck with this. She has another book here, Love at Work, Using Your Job. Using your job to find a mate. I got somebody I gotta give it. Also with us at home base, we have, let's see, Lawrence Miller, Everything for Singles, and we have Amy Josephson, who we are describing as a manhunter. All right, Margaret, let's settle down and start with Margaret. Margaret, you set out, you've been going around, you've been on every television show in the United States of America a few times, including my old shows, telling people how you trapped your husband and how they can trap men. Why did you have to trap a man yourself?
Well, it's very simple because you see, the woman who has the hardest time is the woman who has an awful lot to offer. And if there's one question that men ask me over and over again, it's why do I see these fantastic women with these bimbo men? And then... Margaret, what... In our defense, guys, in our defense, what is a bimbo man? Well, it's a man that is not the most aggressive person in the world. It's a man that doesn't have the courage to go up to the woman he really wants to invite out and invite her out, and for very good reasons, because...
A man who doesn't have courage
to go up to the woman he really wants. In other words, the women oftentimes don't realize that the man does not have a lot of courage to go up to the woman he really wants, for many reasons. One being that when he reached puberty way back in high school, that's also when his self-image as a male formed and gelled. And so... inside that man...
Not the only thing that formed a gel. Anyway, Margaret...
But anyway, no, but the point is that this is the self-image that he carries the rest of his life. So if the woman knows that he will only approach her when he's reasonably sure she's not going to embarrass him or reject him publicly, then if she doesn't know this, she could be sending out the wrong signals, putting out psychological barriers.
Okay. Amy, Adam and Eve didn't need a book to get it on, to be able to do this. Why do you think that women need a courtship manual to figure out how to do it these days?
I don't.
Why are we describing you as a manhunter?
Well, because...
Amy, do you know what you're doing?
No. They didn't tell me that.
Fine.
Without...
Listen, nothing gets you further than honesty in this world. Let me
That's
move
right,
on to,
I'm
what is your name? Lawnance?
Luttons.
Luttons. Right. You've heard about these planned traps and what we're talking about the first part of the show. Second part of the show is prenuptials, right? What do you think of these women?
I think it's a bunch of bull, to be honest with you,
A
because
bunch of what?
bull.
Bull.
Because if a woman needs to read a book to find out how to get a man, she's not much of a woman. You know?
You know, I have always wondered that, whether or not, no, about you specifically, at like, you know, the hop in your high school, were you kind of like sitting off to the side, figuring out someday I'm going to have to write a book in order to be able to get a guy?
Oh, no, it's just that I've been teaching a marriage course for 20-some years on how to marry the spouse of your choice, and I've had men in the class, too. And when he says you have to refer to a book, well, if everybody needed every page in a book, okay, of course not. But you may have one or two ideas that are keeping you from being successful, and that's something you have to evaluate, and somebody has to tell you, we don't have extended families anymore where we can get this information.
Every time I've been with you on the show, I have the same feeling. I say the same thing, don't I? I think there's something fundamental phony about this. Very phony, and we will get to it right after this break. We'll be right back. I'm Bill Boggs. Mort asked me to fill in for him tonight. Our subject at this point is women who need to buy a book and take a course and spend a lot of money figuring out how to trap a man later. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite subjects, prenuptial agreements. Right now, we're joined by Sidney Silver, who is the president of the National Organization for Men. Thank God we've got you here, Sidney. Now, from what we've heard so far, it looks like these women are out to capture a modern-day bank book or something like that. Are they nothing more than just modern-day gold diggers?
Yes, absolutely. And what's wrong about it is this. The goals, I think, are really misshapen in our country. Women have a different attitude towards careers and homes and what they expect from a husband. And with status that women have achieved now to a great degree, they're almost full parity with men on income.
What do you think of Margaret? What do you know who she is. You know what she's. What do you think of this woman and what she's up to?
Well, I like Margaret, but I think she's wrong a lot of times. And
Well, I like Sidney, but I know he's wrong.
But she has one thing that I think a lot of the gold diggers, modern-day gold diggers, don't have. I think she has a lot of integrity in what she tries to bring to
if
it.
I thought that some woman was coming after me, right,
Well, now,
by
wait a minute.
reading
This is,
your
no,
book,
Just a minute. You're giving
I'd
me all
be
this
so
nonsense. Just a
off.
minute.
I mean, I couldn't stand
No,
it.
just a minute. Look, you're talking about women being manipulative. Well, let me say something to you. This is no more manipulation than the woman who goes out there and gets her hair done a special way, buys an outfit that she thinks is flattering. She's doing something to be attractive to the man. He still has to make some effort to go over there and start a conversation. And you know and I know that the man has very little courage to go over to who he wants.
Well,
Ladies,
because you
you've
want
got
us
to
to be
make it
wimps.
easy.
You've made wimps out of us.
I haven't made
You're
whips
saying-
out of you. Wait
Go
a
ahead,
minute.
go ahead.
Yeah, American men have been emasculated. I've been saying it a lot. I'd like to see them change. I'd like to see them more forceful and not be intimidated by women. And I think that what I really mean to say is that men have to fulfill their potentials and not be asked to be subservient to women because women want a career and a family and a fast track and
Well, let me give more. Say you get more of a sense. In your book, Margaret, you go as far as telling women how to catch the big fish, the doctors, the lawyers, the bankers. Aren't you really just trying to teach these women how to hitch up with a guy who's got the big bucks?
Oh, heavens no. And after all, many women...
No, we want them to marry the poor women.
Well, let me tell you something. An awful lot of women don't need the meal ticket anymore. They're looking for a partner, and they're looking for somebody to share their success with.
Wait a second.
No.
Hold on.
No.
Look,
No.
this is the first woman who had something to yell about. Look, you don't need the meal ticket anymore. Are you married?
No.
Stand up.
Nope.
Stand up. What do you want? You want a rich guy with a BMW, or do you want to be out there working 50 hours a week yourself to support some guy you're really in love with?
I want companionship.
That's right.
And sincerity.
You don't care about money.
No.
Means nothing to you. Anybody believe
I
her?
have
No, she's in the minority. Oh, Bill.
What? Stand up.
Well, I think that men are just intimidated because all of a sudden men are put in their place after women being put through the run after years and years. And furthermore, I'm going to own my own Porsche. And I'm going to earn it my way.
Amen. Can I have a ride? Do you have anything to say yet?
Yeah, I do.
You can have your porn.
She thought up something. Go ahead.
You're right. No, I believe in the old-fashioned way. I think also a lot of people might need a book as, not need it, but want to read it because it helps them, just as for other people, they have an opinion the other way. As far as I believe with this young woman over here in companionship, I don't need a guy with a BMW. As long as he has potential and ambition to keep up with me, that's good enough.
Why do you figure you haven't found the guy yet? Why haven't you got one yet?
Because the right one hasn't come along.
Well, now, wait a minute. Wait.
It's a long lifetime here.
If the right one came along, he may not be able to approach her for several reasons. And this is a very charming young lady, very friendly. Nevertheless, out there in the corridor. No. But out there, I said to her, if I had to say something to you to make you very popular with men, what I'd say to you is take off your jewelry. Because most men do not go out and spend their paycheck on jewelry for themselves. If they have something beyond the functional watch, it's probably because a woman gave it to him, his wife or his girlfriend. So when he sees her with some jewelry on, a man will assume, well, there's somebody special in her life who has provided this.
How many guys here are intimidated by girls with jewelry?
A man buys a woman jewelry because he loves her. He buys her an engagement ring because he wants to marry her. Don't give that to me.
Well, I don't know what...
Don't give that to me. I won't take it. I won't take it. Have you ever had a man buy you a lovely necklace and give it to you? Have you ever had a man buy you flowers?
The answer is
Or are you only interested in money?
I don't think you understand what I said. I
Are
said
you
to her...
interested only in money?
No, are you?
Is that it? Am
No.
I?
I said to this lady over here... You're missing the point.
That because
Listen
I have
again.
jewelry on, that might be an invitation.
No, what she's saying is the problem with this book is it's too plotted and it's too contrived.
Oh, it is not.
It's too contrived.
No,
Absolutely. All right, hold it. Wait a second. Let's go to
Have you ever met a good man that didn't have money, but he was a man 100%?
Hi, I'm Bill Boggs. Nice to see you. I didn't even introduce this woman. This is Elvira Wyman. What? Whoa! What's up?
La puta tu madre, mi hijo, dance locomotive. All people are putting news. You are dirty, me, friend, que callao, dale, que tu buy people.
I have no idea what that means. This is Elvira Wyman. Elvira is the next president of the United States. All right, now I was about to
Mayor of New York.
I was about to say, let's get to a serious. Is this a serious-looking guy? All right, he is. His name is John Gordon. He's written a book which is called "The Myth of the Monstrous Male and Other Feminist Fables." John, you said that women look at men as objects of finance and that all they have are dollars and cents on their minds. Why don't we elaborate on this right now?
Well, I would say that's all that women have in their mind. But
A lot.
Well, a lot. I mean, for zillions of years, men were interested in physical attractiveness, and women were interested in signs of money and so forth. It was a neat kind of transaction. For about 20 or 30 years, we've been hearing what men are, for being concerned about the bazongas or whatever of the woman that they're looking at. And I think it's nice to hear the other side. There's something kind of creepy about the other side, too, about looking at someone in terms of the kind of car they drive or their address or whatever. The fact is, neither sex comes out exactly angelic, according to that kind of standard. That's all. I'd like to put things in a little balance there.
Like, what have you heard tonight do you think is totally off from these women?
Oh, nothing totally off. Nothing. It sounds like the old story to me. It's the same business. I just have this crazy kind of deja vu sense. I mean, for 20 years, I've been hearing from all kinds of sources that men are pigs. You know, they're swine. They care about nothing but sex. They're at this and so forth.
I mean,
and
that's
so on.
why you formed your group, right, Sidney?
And now these women who've been saying this come along and saying the really horrible thing about these pigs is they won't marry us. I mean, what kind of psychology is that? It's like the old Woody Allen joke about the terrible food at this place, and what's even worse is they have small portions. You know, these men are so ghastly, and what's even worse is they stay away from us. I can't compute.
They don't really need men now because they don't have to be supported. You see, so they set very high
That
standards.
is the voice of a woman who wants to be supported.
Absolutely.
Correct?
Well,
Amy?
I'll also. Guys, don't boo me. You don't even know me. I have a job. Actually, I have two. And I can definitely support myself. And I definitely believe in having my own business as well. But I do believe in having a man that has the ambition and potential behind him to be able to have that also, because I'm not going to support a man. When I have children, yes, you're right. I want to sit home and take care of my kids instead of a stranger coming
Why
in and
would
taking
you
care of
say
them.
that you wouldn't want to support a man when you would expect that you want
I
a
don't
man to
expect.
support you?
I don't expect that.
That's what you want. That's it. That's what she wants. All right, next. Marriage, the biggest legal deal of your life. I'm coming over here. All right, guys, I want all you guys to listen very carefully to what I have to say. So you finally take the bait, and you get hooked and reeled in, and there you are, married. Just maybe one little thing you forgot, a prenuptial agreement, a legal document to protect the few meager possessions that you have from her divorce lawyers when you two, God forbid, split up. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Sidney. Prenuptial agreements. A lot of women who are reading manuals and are going out to grab their guys like this in a very calculated way, they're after the men. How can a man protect himself?
Well, first of all, he's got to get a written agreement. He's got to be strong enough, not wimpy, strong enough to be able to say to the lady of his choice, whether it's a marriage that's coming up or a palimony or a relationship, cohabitation relationship. They've got to enter into an agreement, because at the end of the relationship, what usually takes place, there's a retroactive decision that this is an economic partnership.
That's when you realize it's a legal deal.
That's
Believe me, I am not against marriage. I have been married.
You see, Amy...
But it's a legal deal. That's what you don't learn in school. You learn it's like love and romance and songs and stuff like that. But it's you, a woman, and the state that you get married in a legal contract. Well, that's what marriage is.
Exactly, and I think whether it's a marriage relationship or a cohabitation thing over a period of years, there is trouble in the wind. And men have to face the reality, because your wife or your girlfriend could be your worst enemy in America. You got to be careful. Once that divorce or the breakup of the relationship takes place, you can't tell what can happen. It can be a very vindictive situation. Now, I'm not saying that all women are that way, and I don't want that to be the case. But very often, when it hits the courts in some form, there's a disaster. Simply
let me go to Elvira. It could be. Is it Elvira? You've been happily married for 30 years.
No.
Haven't you?
I am happily married, and
now,
I'd
if
like
someone
to...
had come to you, if your mate had come to you before the marriage proposing some kind of a prenuptial agreement to protect his assets and your assets prior to marriage 30 years ago, what would you have said? How would you have felt?
I would say to him, damn you, are you in love with me? And do you want to marry me because you love me? Or do you want my money?
I want to answer it.
Then you know what I
Okay.
would say?
No, you can tell he's a good lawyer. That's what you can tell.
What do you think I am, a piece of merchandise?
30 years ago...
I am not a piece of merchandise.
No,
I
you're
am
not.
a woman.
When you
and
be quiet
I would
a
want
minute-
a man
when you be
who
quiet
would
a
want
minute-
me as a woman and who would treat me like
does
a
your
woman.
hu-
Thank you.
Oh, no. Now, wait a minute.
Hold it. Just a second.
Does your husband have
What do you
ear laps
think?
at
You're
home
gonna
or
buy
what?
me with
When
a
you
couple
hold
of
off,
dollars?
stop.
No.
10 seconds.
You
Look.
stop.
30 years ago, you didn't have equitable distribution, and you didn't have community property laws to the extent that you have them in the United States today. You didn't have the extent of women working and the encouragement by the feminists, radical feminists who say, get out, be independent, accelerate your own life, and damn with your family. That's not the case.
I am independent. I accelerate my own life.
Yeah, but look.
Those things
what I'm saying to you is, you're yesterday's story. Your case is different than today.
Yesterday's
I'm today's story, and I feel the same way.
Thank you.
All right. The point is,
let me go to Diana Dubroff. Diana, you're an attorney. Wait, hold on a second. You're an attorney. Don't you think that we are in the middle of what the basic problem is with prenuptial agreements, and that is that it bursts the romantic bubble? That's what happens.
Definitely not.
it takes the fuzz off the peach.
Very definitely not. I tell you the reason. People really don't.
Hold it. What's going on here? What's going on?
She offered me money. I deserve it. And I deserve it great.
Why do you think you deserve money?
She offered it. I took it. And it's mine.
What's your name?
I'm Bob Feinschreiber. How are you doing? Good to see you, Bill.
I'm having a nice time. But what's going on here? This is Margaret Kent's husband?
That's right.
Wait, would you come with me for a second?
I sure will.
Sure. Just a second. Margaret, come here.
You must have bought her. You must have bought her.
Sit. Sit.
No, thanks.
Sit. No, sit. Come on. No, sit down. So I want you to sit next to Margaret.
Pick it up.
No, come on.
Pick it up.
He won't sit next to his wife. Sit down.
No room. That's all right.
Sit on the floor.
Sit on the floor.
All right, go ahead. Back to your seat. Back to your seat. Anyway, Diana, this is what we were saying. Hold on. Just a second. That man is a result of that book. That's all I can say. The man came from her methods, correct?
Well, of course he did, because look, you're talking about my methods, but let's talk about what they are, and then you can criticize them. Step number one in getting yourself married is to make sure you meet enough people so that you find somebody who's going to be your ideal mate. Step two is to interview him for the job of your husband. Now, this is a very pleasant thing. This is not an inquisition.
How can you interview somebody?
I know that, dear.
Go ahead.
If you want to meet somebody, you don't you don't ask for a resume. Love is something you feel. It's an emotion. That's something that you can learn, something that you can read about.
You cannot love something that you do not know. And so therefore you see someone and you assume that he's going to be a certain way or she's going to be a certain way, but until you ask some questions, you're just dealing on assumptions and you're talking about lust, and that's great. But before, I don't know of any woman who would, let's say, hand over $5,000 to a man just to hold for her for a month without knowing something about him. I'm just suggesting that if she's going to hold over her emotions to someone, she ought to know something about him.
You're talking money.
Bill, I'm not talking money. You guys are talking
I
money.
wouldn't do it even if I knew him.
No, what I'm saying is...
I wouldn't give a man $5,000. I mean, why?
Bill, I don't think they understand the concept.
No, I don't think you understand.
They don't understand the concept.
Let me get back to where we were before. All right, we were talking about prenuptial agreements. Diana
You don't
Dubroff.
understand the concept here. You're talking about something and you're arguing about something that doesn't make a goddamn bit of sense to anybody.
All right, here.
Because find out what
young
prenuptial
couple.
agreement is intended to do. When two young people get together and they see each other and they're both poor and they haven't anything, you present an idea of a prenuptial agreement to them and they say, you're out of your mind.
Well,
we ain't got
here's
nothing.
Exhibit A. You two folks.
That's you
What's
today.
your name?
You say, it doesn't mean a damn thing.
Diana, hold on just a second. This is Exhibit A. When are you going to get married?
July 15th of this year.
To each other?
To each other.
And why are you not going to have a prenuptial agreement?
Because we're going to build everything together and that's it.
Fine.
Excuse me. The prenuptial agreement is another way for an attorney to make a buck.
Wait a minute.
It is
Now
a myth
let's
in
see this.
America because statistically, 1 out of 2 gets divorced. And I
we're
hate
not
to
gonna
tell
be
you
that
that,
1 out of
but
2.
you have to really work hard, and I hope
But
you
you're not
succeed.
getting
But
married
you're
to
blind. You're really blind. You don't understand what you're saying.
Yes, but you don't understand
Hey,
one
I don't
thing
think it's
here.
right to call
you
them
don't understand
blind.
one thing. That today you may not have everything and you want to start building together, and the lawyer that you go to has to understand that you are two people who 5 years from now may have something.
Right,
and you may be one of the statistics, and therefore don't be stupid about it. Just say if and when such things happened. This is what I want to do.
If
And it's more
something-
than just
it's
saying
something
divorce.
we made together, and that's the way it's going to be.
Well,
If
you're
you stay
ridiculous.
together, but
Ridiculous.
but aren't you silly not to recognize what is happening in this world? Suppose it does. The fact that you have that agreement does not mean that you must get divorced. The fact that you have life insurance doesn't mean that you have to go to the embalmer. There's a big difference
They're
between
not
the
silly
two.
and they're not stupid. They're in love.
That's right.
Okay? They're in love. That's what it's all about. Love. Okay? It's no agreement. It's love and building it together.
I hope they last that way.
You enter into a marriage with love.
That's
and
so
trust.
stupid, but that
It
doesn't
is
mean you
not
can't protect
stupid,
yourself.
because if they love each other, he will take care of her and she will take care of him.
That's right,
Would you marry somebody you never met? We'll find out after this. Hi, welcome back. This is the Morton Downey Jr. show. I obviously am not Morton Downey Jr. I'm Bill Boggs. As I said the other time I did it, I don't have red socks, I don't smoke, I just lip up. I'm addicted to this stuff. All right, Dan Fields, you are a third-generation matchmaker. Now, considering that 50% of the divorce rate in this country exists, are you going to tell me that you can match people up without their ever meeting each other?
Who gets divorced, they shouldn't be married in the first place. Why get married and why get divorced? I'm the third generation in this business. Whoever comes to Fields, they are ready and sincere to make a commitment. And when I make a match, it lasts.
How does it work? Just briefly explain it.
A person comes to the office, or they call me. They are nationwide, all over the world, all religion, all races, all over. They call me or they write to me. They come to the office. I'm here in Manhattan. They tell me what they're looking for, and I make all arrangements for them to meet. When they do meet each other, it's like they're looking for each other.
Now, I could come to you and say, I want a 27, 28-year-old woman, blonde, fabulous figure, income of about between $65,000 and $100,000 a year with 2 homes and a BMW convertible.
Well, you're not coming to get married, you're coming to do business.
Okay. Right. You got me now. Now, Elvira, where is Elvira? Oh, Elvira. Recent surveys indicate that we're returning to more traditional values. More women want to marry, and they want to have children much sooner so they can beat the biological clock. Is this another sign that feminism may, in fact, be fading?
No, I think we women are going to become stronger in our communities. We are going to become stronger in politics because we do stand for a lot. We do. We raise our families. We take care of our husbands. We work. And I think we're very competent people.
I wish I had a flag. I could wait.
Thank you.
All right, go ahead, Dan.
In another thing, parents are coming to me to make arrangements for the children without their knowledge, because there's so many beautiful young ladies, highly educated, and they cannot meet the right one, because today, when they meet somebody, the gentleman is not wanted to get married because they're living together. For what purpose?
So you don't advise people living together?
Why take a border-in free? For what purpose? And then he moves out.
Are you running
and he
a
marries
supermarket of women?
Mr. Field was very, very right when he said that that the thing to do is to match people. The thing he didn't tell you, and he didn't tell you whether he does it. Does he know the background of each one of these persons? Because it is a fact. In all the years that I've been practicing matrimonial law, in all the years that I've been handling people with divorce, I take the trouble to go into the background, and I discover that these people should never have married to start with. They married for the wrong reason. Either they were lonely, or they were getting out of the house, or they didn't understand what it was, and they were creating a fantasy.
So he's like at last desperation?
If he
is that what you're
is a
saying he is?
sociologist and he understands what the background is, then he's doing the right thing. But if you're going out there to look for that fellow, don't look for the one who makes tickles in your stomach. Look for the one and find out about his background. Find out how he thinks.
What's wrong with
Find out what his father,
What's wrong
about his
with
mother.
tickles?
Find out about all those things, and then you'll get the person.
Yeah, let's hear it for Tickles over here.
Love
Tickles.
You
And
can
what
have
kind
love
of a
when you
fee
get it.
do you get?
Biology.
All right, one at a time. Go ahead.
Go ahead. What kind of a fee do you collect like running a supermarket of females. What kind of a fee do you collect to match make?
Excuse me, wait a minute.
It's a business.
Excuse me, wait a minute.
I demand to see his IRS forms. Come on,
Please, let me
Dan.
say something, you know?
Go ahead.
I don't run a supermarket. I don't sell potatoes. I don't sell
selling
onions.
women.
Just a minute. Keep still a minute.
No,
you talk
you're
too much.
selling
now.
women.
Social locks.
Thank you.
And
Let's
they
not
come,
have any ethnic
when
references.
they come to my office, they are sincere, marriage-minded. They're looking for each other. They cannot find the right one. They're lonely. They're looking for each other to get married, and I bring them one together. So don't call supermarkets. We don't sell anything, and I don't buy anything.
If he does
No,
the
I know.
job,
Mr.
he's
Fields.
entitled
We
to it.
just give
Then why
introduction.
charge a fee, sir?
Money don't mean nothing.
Go ahead.
And why
Lauren,
charge
I enjoy
a fee?
making
Hold it
people
over
happy.
here. Go ahead.
Would you do it free? Why
Pardon me?
charge
Why
a
should
fee?
he do it free? Do you go out to work for free?
I don't
Never
sell
mind free.
men. I don't sell men.
Yes, you do.
I
You
don't
sell services.
Sell men
You
in the
sell
supermarket.
services.
Why do you
Services
always, why
have
you
to be
always
paid
talk
for.
about money? You
I
talk,
am not selling
Excuse
men.
me.
I am not selling
let me
men.
say
You know something,
something.
it
You
might be
talk
good
too much
business,
there.
Mr. Fields, I know somebody that has used
You
your
came to
business.
this, you came over here, you came over here and you throw money on the ground. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it
That
did.
makes
All right, you
sense.
got
to throw
something you want
money
to
on
say.
the
Go ahead,
floor.
Lauren.
Yes, it did.
When
Hold
I
on.
make arrangements for people to meet, they are happily married.
All right, we got it. We got it.
And
we
the
got
grandparents
it. Hold
are
on.
coming to me.
Hold it.
Right? Am I right?
Okay, all right. I'll say it.
You have to do more than what you're doing.
Zip it. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Fields, Mr. Fields, I work in the singles business also, and I happen to know of a woman who asked me to check up on you because she sent you money to find her a boyfriend. Here she lives in Florida. You're sending her letters from people that live like in California, Oregon. How the hell are they supposed
Let the
to
lady
meet?
call me up. You talk nonsense, my friend.
No, I don't talk nonsense. I have
Call
it in my
nonsense.
office. That's
You're
why I said
telling
I know who
stories.
you are.
I don't know anything about it. Whoever has anything to say, they could call me. I'm in the office 7 days a week, so don't talk nonsense.
But Mr. Field, will you please tell these people what you do besides just getting an application? What do you check on each one of these people before you make that introduction?
You made a
How do you,
statement.
how do you
These
know that
people
you're not
love each
getting
other
some
too?
criminal who's giving you
So
some
You never had any
introduction?
criminals for 65 years.
I'm not so sure about that because you don't know what happened to them.
Do you know what happened?
I don't, but I know from experience of what's
Are
happened
you
to
married
people.
or single?
That isn't your business at this point.
Hey, wait a second.
I'll
wanna-
tell you.
let's
I am
see how he
past
works.
80.
Hold it.
Let him tell
Past
me. if he
80?
can-
God love you.
Past 80. Can
You
you
look
find
like
someone
20.
for
You
me?
look like 20.
Oh, well, thank heavens I
Dan,
can.
Yeah.
Dan, I want to see it work. What kind of a man would you recommend for Diana Dubrow?
For her?
For her.
She needs an intelligent, sincere person.
Who
To
can
get-
be a crook?
Why call a person a crook?
Because he can be intelligent, he can be sincere about wanting to marry me, and he can still be a
If he
criminal,
wants to- if
and
he-
he can still
Excuse
be
me,
a son.
excuse me.
What have you done to check that man's
I want to ask you a
reputation?
question. I want to ask you a question. If a man's going to marry you, he's a crook?
No. No, if
You
a
just
man's
made a
going to marry me,
statement.
he's going to be very lucky.
I'll tell
That's
you
what's
one
going to
thing.
happen
They
to him.
never have any problems.
Wait a second. Some of us got married the old-fashioned way. We found someone we liked. We ended up loving them. They loved us back. We didn't go into any prenuptial agreement because you can't go into it
You
saying,
did go into a
maybe I'm
prenuptial
gonna end up
agreement.
backing out
Yes,
later.
you can.
You
I
entered
know
into
what
an
you
agreement.
did.
John.
You
No
entered
turning
into an agreement.
back.
The
As soon as
choice
you
is-
start thinking you can turn back, then
The
it's too
choice
late.
is not between entering into an agreement and not entering into an agreement. The choice is between what kind of agreement you're going to enter into. When you get married, you enter into an agreement, and an awful lot of yes, it's also a legal official agreement before a representative of the state. And if and when it breaks apart, lots of men get screwed because of the way the arrangement is. It's a
All
fact
right,
of
this is what
life.
we're going to do. Before we started the show tonight, I had no idea where the audience was going to be. I have a feeling there's a tremendous amount of agitation right in the audience, and we'll get to them right after this. Thank you. I'm Bill Boggs, executive producer of the show. Mort asked me, it is so much fun doing this program. You know, I had no idea exactly where the audience was going to be during the show on various positions. And I think it's sharply divided. We talked about a lot. We talked about prenuptials. We talked about matchmakers. We talked about a lot of stuff. What do you want to say, young fella?
Just that I was married once, and I got divorced. I had no prenuptial then, and when I do it again, I'm not going to get one.
Why? But why don't you want to protect yourself?
Huh?
Why don't you want to protect yourself?
When I go in it, it's you know, financial things ain't the reason why I'm going in. It's, you know, I'll worry about that later on.
I'm totally against it. I can't believe it. And this show showed that we are divided because my fiance's over there who's for it.
Without a doubt.
Okay?
Where is he? Where is he?
This one right
Come
here.
Come here.
100%.
All right, now turn around. You're going to get married. When are you going to get married?
Now I don't know.
All right, let's get to. You
as
never.
soon as she signs the papers. That's
You
when
never.
we get married.
Right. That's.
As soon as she signs
Listen,
the
let me
papers.
tell you something. I get married. I'm divorced. When I said to my potential wife, true story, I said, you know, we're up in age now. We're not like 20-year-old kids. Maybe we ought to have a prenuptial. She went nuclear. No.
You mean to tell me I'm supposed to work 20 hours a day and build my business up, and 2 years down the road,
Yo, let me say
something.
No, let this guy finish. Let this guy finish.
And
Because
something happens between us where we fall out of love or something, I'm supposed to give a half?
But who says it's going to happen? I thought we married each other because we love
There's
each
only
other.
two short things in life, death and taxes. So forget about anything else. Yeah, let me say something.
there are a lot of other guys in the audience who
I
don't
see
agree
that.
with him. All right, next up. Yes, Phil.
All right, first of all, when you go into marriage, you know, you go in to build the relationship. Now, that prenuptial agreement, if you go in for that, you know, you're just saying you guys ain't going to work out. That's what you're saying. That's what you're saying. I mean, if you really love this lady, if you love this girl, you will go in to be with her forever, not for no agreement. You know what I'm saying? I can't predict what... I'm not sure what's going to happen 5, 10, 15 years down the road. Are you sure what's going to happen? I know if I'm marrying somebody, I'm going to be with that girl forever. That's what I'm saying. How do you know that? How do you know that? How do you know that?
You don't know it, you don't get married. That's the point.
No, okay.
You're really not that sure.
Just let me
Don't get
speak.
married.
Okay, this is my brother here.
Don't
This
get
is my brother here, and I do oppose what he's saying. I personally agree with this gentleman here in that I think that a prenuptial agreement is good in some instances.
get out my face, you
because
in for the money too.
for
I know
one
you are.
thing,
I know it.
I myself, I'm going to be a successful attorney one day, and I think that it's a good idea for all, you know, for everyone to really check out their own financial personal assets and really be in control of them.
Robin Gibbons right here. This is the woman that has a head on the shoulders. Let me tell you something.
Good. All right, let me come back to Sidney Silver.
You see what they've missed here tonight. It isn't just for the protection of men. It's also for the protection of women.
How does it protect women? How does it protect women?
Because it's a deal. It's an agreement. Women can agree to whatever opting out features they want to have. Now, I think that there's very important considerations. They don't know if they're going to have children. They hope they're going to have children. Custody is involved. A lot of important issues that affect both.
Excuse me, I have something
It's not
to
just
say.
money.
Just a second, Amy. Just a second.
I'm married 47 years. We had nothing when we started. We don't have that much now. But we love one another. And we got each other. We have children.
You're a beautiful couple, and you're one of the few in America today.
No, that's baloney.
You know,
less than 50%.
Maybe with her attitude, we'll have more.
What I think there's a fundamental thing. Hold it. Tell me, I think there's a fundamental thing that happens. You have a prenuptial, and something tilts. Something changes. It's like saying, we don't want to take that safety net. We want to have the risk of putting it all together on the line.
No, it's just impersonal.
No, but I think I think something changed. That's what I'm feeling here.
Yeah, it would change. If I had a prenuptial agreement, I wouldn't have one. I think it's impersonal and it's
nobody
tacky.
likes to
Wait a
die,
minute, you know
but
how
you
many,
need a will.
You know how many men out there marry women for their money or for their father's money or for where they come
You
from?
don't listen, Amy.
I am listening.
An
I've been
hour
listening
ago,
all
you
the
didn't
time.
say anything, but now
Yeah,
you're talking.
You know how many men I know that
It
say I want a
protects-
rich girl?
It
I mean,
protects-
hello.
It also protects women.
No, I'm just saying it goes both ways, okay? And I just think it's tacky, it's impersonal, and as far as I'm concerned, it's wrong. Because when I marry the man I marry,
Yeah, but when you
there's
get
gonna be
divorced,
I'm not going to get divorced.
Oh yes, I heard that
so
before.
So go in with a negative attitude.
Oh, wait a
that's
second.
it,
Hold it.
right?
I heard it
No.
before.
Margaret. Hold!
And it's a good
Yo,
free world.
yo.
And I'm living in realistically.
let's hear from Margaret, because surprisingly enough, Margaret supports prenuptials. Go ahead, Margaret.
Yes, for a very good reason. And that is that, first of all, if you stay married for any length of time, what you describe as your assets in a prenuptial agreement are going to change, and the thing is going to become useless the longer you're married in many, many ways. And so it's a guarantee that you're just not being taken for a ride early on. It does protect women, and when you have nothing, guess what it does for you folks? It also doesn't make you take on somebody else's debt. Because we're talking about not only your money, let's say, being taken, man or woman, it doesn't make any difference. I think we're equal opportunity here. It's that you also don't take on somebody else's debt, and that's something you may want to consider. As you stay married, this will all change.
Who totally disagrees with Margaret?
I want to say it's prenuptial agreements. It's just preparing yourself for failure.
You're killing a relationship before it even starts.
Once you marry someone, it's supposed to be forever. You're just preparing yourself to lose.
All right, when we come back, Sidney Silver, for anybody who's watching right now who wants a prenuptial agreement, will tell you how to get it. And every single person in the audience has an opinion on this. We'll go back to the audience in a second. But Sidney, you got an offer.
Okay, my offer is this on behalf of the Board of Directors of the National Organization for Men. Anyone who is interested in receiving a form of a prenuptial agreement is free to write to me. Together with that, I'll send you a copy of my column from Penthouse on the importance of a pre-marital agreement and instructions on what to do in case you make a deposit in a sperm bank.
Why?
Well, there is a case now in Tennessee that just broke 2 weeks ago that is very important on the cutting edge of the importance of who controls the sperm and when it's released. It's in the bank. The Davis case is now going forward in the state of Tennessee, where a man deposited 7 rounds in vitro fertilization. And now he's suing for a divorce. The wife now wants to be implanted while they're going through a divorce. We think men in America and women in America have to be informed about these subjects.
Oh, we'll do a show on that at some point. All right, let's get back to the audience. Hit it. What's on your mind?
Basically, I'm single. I have a good education. I work for a healthcare organization. I have my own business and everything else.
You a yuppie?
I think so.
Yuppie. That's what they look like. See,
but basically, every time I go out to an attractive woman, go up and talk to her, they look at me and they go, oh, yuppie, I'm not going to talk to this guy, nothing. Then when they see the keys that are in my pocket, or they find out from somebody else, this guy owns a couple video stores and everything else, next thing you know is they're all over me. They want to marry me. But they find out from other people.
Well,
wait a second. Why is this such a problem?
Because I'm looking for somebody I can settle down with. I'm getting old, I guess. I'm 30 now.
Don't show off what you're not planning to sell, and you won't have to worry.
Bill? Why do you have to worry? This is my work clothes. I go to work.
So what does a suit mean? You could buy a suit and spend money on it.
Listen, I think that's about it. Hey, I got to hear that accent one more time. Dan Fields, 10 seconds, the last word.
Why doesn't he come to Fields, Manhattan, have plenty of fine ladies?
All right, everybody. I hope you didn't miss Mort too much. Mort will be back tomorrow night. Bye-bye.